I'm joined here now by who is undoubtedly one of the busiest people in Ballinrobe Musical Society around this time of year. Finola Higgins, our musical director. Finola, we definitely wouldn't
Hi,
be sitting
Oisin.
down chatting. How are you getting on? We definitely wouldn't be sitting down chatting so casually like this at this time of
Absolutely
day,
not.
at this time of the year in a normal year, would we?
Absolutely not, Oisin. There'd be panic stations going on.
Yeah, strange times, surely. And so, can you just tell us, Finola, how did you get into? You're a music teacher by day, in case anyone doesn't know. So, how did you get into musical direction then?
Well, I suppose, Oisin, since I was a very small child, but both my parents were involved in musicals. My dad played Curly in Oklahoma. We had a really thriving Kilchmaw Musical Society back in those days, back kind of in the 80s, and my dad was always getting the lead parts in it. And so we used to go to myself, my brother and sister used to go to rehearsals with mum and dad. Both of them would be in it, and we'd watch them. And I suppose I just fell in love. And then when I went to school myself, then the first show I was ever in myself was Jesus Christ Superstar, where I played Mary Magdalene. And then in secondary school, I had parts in Showboat, The King and and I can't remember what else, but I was very involved all the way through. So then I went to college and did my degree, and I was involved in Maynooth, in the choir there in Maynooth. I was studying, I did my degree in music, and I was just in love with harmonies, in love with music. So the first thing, then when about what year was it? About 20 years ago, which was the last show I was actually in myself. It was the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and I played Miss Mona in that. And after that, I was asked to get involved with the Castlebar pantomime and to be musical director for some of their shows. So I did that for about 4 years, I think, and then I started setting up my choirs. Caledon Choral Society was the first choir, and it just kind of went on from there. I love them. I live for musicals. I absolutely love them. I love the comedy. I love the depth of feeling that you get, in the more serious ones. I love the orchestra. I love everything about it. I love working with chorus. I love working with individuals. I love seeing characters develop, and how better, how much they improve from auditions back in August or September, and then to see them on stage, which will be this week in February. It'll take your breath away sometimes to see the work that the cast have put into it. Particularly in Ballinrobe, it's absolutely incredible, the work that goes on for months and months and months to make sure that they have a top class show every year.
Yeah, and you've been involved with Ballinrobe for a number of years now. So how did you get to be our musical director then? How did that come about?
Well, I joined in 2012, and my first show was Evita in 2013. So I just got a call. I think I just got a call to come and have a chat with the committee at the time, and I did, and they asked me to get involved. So Evita was the first show, it was a big one for me for the first show. And that was staged in 2013. One of my favorite shows of all time, and was introduced to the brilliant Liam Butler as the director, and Aoife McLafferty, of course, who's become a lifelong friend of mine since. So I never really looked back from that, to be honest with you. I loved every second of it.
Okay, so give us an idea of how you prepare, because it's something that obviously goes on for months, even though the show is only on for weeks. So when you find out what show we're doing, what's the first thing you do?
Well, the first thing is there's usually a lot of discussion about what the show is going to be. And I do get my input of my suggestions, but I don't know if they've ever gone with any of mine yet. But it's a very exciting time. Usually it's kind of the end of July, August when we find out for sure what it's going to be. And to be honest, every show, it's been, I did Evita, Tale of Two Cities, All Shook Up, Adam's Family, 9 to 5, My Fair Lady, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and of course the Pirates last year. I think they've made brilliant choices along the way. So the first thing I do is try and get a copy of it. And to be honest, I generally have CDs of nearly all the musicals, so I start listening to the songs myself, start learning them myself, and get my hands on the score as quickly as possible. And then usually auditions start in September. So my job for the auditions would be to pick what songs I think would be most appropriate for people to audition to. So unfortunately, I usually pick the hardest song because you have to see ranges of voices and all of that. So like say for Evita, you know, you would expect that it would have been Don't Cry For Me Argentina, but it wasn't. It was the Buenos Aires, which is a really, really tough song to sing. And I knew that if anybody could nail that song, then that would be them. And of course, Angela Staunton just absolutely blew us all away with that. So, you know, it might seem a little bit mean, but generally the audition songs that I pick are the more difficult songs from the show. So I learned them well myself, and then we get our list for auditions and we start the auditions. Picking the parts always difficult because the standard is just incredibly high in Ballinrobe, and it's really, really difficult, and we know how much it means to people. So it's really difficult disappointing people or letting people down. But generally, you know, we find another part for somebody, and they slot into it to maybe a smaller part. After that, then I usually start thinking about the chorus rehearsals, which start in October. And I generally try and pick one of the harder songs. It's kind of difficult because you want to keep them there. You want to keep all of the chorus at the rehearsals. So, but I usually pick one of the big anthemy songs first to go with, you know, something that they'll all enjoy. But I try and get the tricky bits done, you know, at the start of rehearsals, really, so that the longer that they're singing it, you know, the better they get it as the months go on. So that's in October. So I usually start about once a week in October. And then, of course, I have to pick my orchestra, and I usually have big discussions with the committee again about how many I can have. And I'd be bargaining with Des saying, well, if you just give me one more violin, it'd be just, you know, it would make such a difference and we get even more of an audience. And I'd be trying to do anything I can to get as big an orchestra as I can. And again, absolutely blessed, you know, for choice with our musicians that we have all around Mayo, Galway. You know, absolutely blessed with the talent. You know, there is such professional people that I work with, and lovely, lovely people to deal with. So I try and get their scores to them. I usually have them booked by September, to be honest, because they're in such big demand. So I try to get their scores to them by Christmas. And then they start learning separately, they start learning their stuff. And at this stage as well, before Christmas, I would be meeting with all of the principals and putting duets together and trios, and then maybe bringing the principals in with the chorus to do songs that they're doing with them. You know, I think anyone that works with me knows that I am a bit of perfectionist, but I just firmly believe in practice. So the more we do it, the more. I don't like standing around doing nothing. If you know, Peter or Liam or Aoife or somebody is doing something and I see some principal standing around doing nothing, I'll grab them over to me and rehearse anything, any part. You know, the more you sing, the better you get at it, you know. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. And then after Christmas, it all kind of hell breaks loose because the dancing goes together with the singing.
Oh, the dance.
And that's always just, well, it's hilarious at first, but as time goes on, it gets quite frightening because people are so worried about looking down at their feet, they're forgetting their harmonies. But again, the more Aoife's amazing, like at any chance myself and Aoife get, we put them together, singing and dancing as much as we possibly can. Then I have a full run with I have a full day on this Sunday before the show starts with the orchestra. So it's just me and the orchestra for the first half of the day, and then for the second half, I bring in the principals and the chorus, and we sing through the whole show. And then, yeah, that week before the show, it's every night, you know, Act 1 maybe on Monday, Act 2 Tuesday, full show the next day, and then move the orchestra in on the Friday and the Saturday, and then we kick off with the 2 shows on the Sunday. And on it goes. So I haven't been off for a Halloween break in so long. It feels really bizarre. You know, I am missing everybody, definitely, especially this week.
Yeah, and obviously you work with students one-to-one as well during the day. And how different is it working with such a huge amount of people compared to working with, say, somebody one-on-one?
I suppose I've worked with groups of people all my life. You know, I have different choirs. So I have the Claydon Choral Society, and I have the Mayo School of Music Youth Choir, and then I have another choir, Harmonia, which is retired teachers choir. Those rehearsals are based in Swinford. Of course, all of them, everything like that is gone at the moment because of COVID. And I know that people are really, really missing singing. And I know there's a huge gap in my life at the moment, because I'm not, I'm not getting to hear these harmonies, or getting, you can do stuff on Zoom, but it's not the same because you can only hear yourself singing. But no, I love working with groups of people. I love having the fun, having the crack, and in Ballinrobe especially, like there's just such good humour. With through the years, say for example, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I had the children's chorus on their own, and we'd have great fun then, and then I'd have the adult chorus separately, and then you bring them all together. And I'm just very comfortable working with groups of people. I love people. I love music. I love harmony. Is my favorite thing in the world. So you can't do that with one person. So it's an honor for me, to be honest. It's an absolute honor to be able to create sounds that we get, and to be able to, to listen to it and take it in. And I mean, the amount of times that I've heard choruses in Ballinrobe and just shivers up and down my spine with the beauty of it. So I do feel really, really blessed to work with singers.
Yeah, and tell me a bit about working with the orchestra. You're working with professional musicians, obviously. What's it like? Because I know I'm a musician myself, as you know, and if you asked
Yes.
me to conduct an orchestra, I wouldn't have a clue where to start. So, can you give people like what the job actually involves, and like how difficult it is?
Yeah, I know. It is it's something, I suppose, no more than any musician, you get better and better at it as time goes on. But for me, I would have done a lot of I suppose, because I did my degree in music, part of that would have been conducting skills and all of that kind of thing. And it's very different. Say I would have been used to conducting 4 or 5 or 6 part choirs, um which in itself is it's a big, you have to try and give everybody the same attention, and make sure everybody is looking at you and all of that. So when you bring in add musicians onto that, you're not just conducting the musicians, you're conducting whatever is happening on stage as well. um it the big thing is trying to keep everybody exactly together, and I suppose it's for them to trust you and to follow you, and for them to know that it's your beat. You might have one musician who thinks it should be a bit slower, or somebody else who thinks it should be a bit faster, but I suppose it's to try and keep everybody together. Dynamics are very important for me, which is, rather than just a piece of music being sung, that the soft are in and the louds are in, and, the crescendos and all of that kind of stuff. And, as I've said already, the musicians I work with, they follow me to a T now. And it's just incredible. To think that everybody is quiet before a show starts, or is just there, and all of a sudden you have maybe 15 musicians and maybe 50 people up on the stage, and they're all creating this together, and somebody has to control it. And that's what the conductor does, control it, between controlling the tempo and the dynamics of it. And maybe there's parts where you want the violins to be louder than, I know there was a lot with My Fair Lady. There was some beautiful stuff for the strings, so to be trying to, making sure that the brass are quieter, and that kind of stuff. But they're well used to that. The musicians are so good, that they're well able to follow. They're brilliant, they're outstanding. So it is a bit daunting sometimes, especially first show. I'm always extremely nervous,
Mm.
because generally I'm, if something goes wrong, it's generally going to be my fault, unless of course it's Ken's fault. We'll blame Ken actually. No, yeah, no, it's Ken's fault. Let's say it's Ken's.
Okay, right, Ken, you didn't hear it from me. But anyway, so Finola, obviously, it's obvious from anyone listening to this that you and me both really, really enjoy the musical, and it's not really
Absolutely.
February unless there's a show on. There is no
Yeah.
show this particular February. How big of a kind of a void is it in your life in particular? Not, as you say, around this time evening, getting ready and heading off and doing all that.
Yeah, it's just, I've been really nostalgic this week. In general, the whole COVID thing and the effect it's had on musicians, on singers, on shows, on communities. It's been devastating. It really has been devastating. And there's been times I will be honest, that I've been really, really down with the lack of music. I mean, if anybody told me a year ago when we were doing Tarantara in Pirates of Penzance that we would not allowed to blow an instrument or to sing, you know, beside one another, I would have thought, you know, are you all gone mad? What's, you know, so it's been really, really difficult. And this lockdown in particular has been more difficult, I think, because, you know, I think maybe last for the first lockdown, we were so lucky that we did get Paris film. We were one of the last shows. I was about to do Adam's Family with Castlereagh actually, just before the lockdown. So, you know, they were all prepared and ready to go. So it was really, really, really disappointing for the heartbreaking for them, you know. So I suppose we have to look at the bright side and say we were lucky that we got to do Pirates last year, one of the few shows who did get to perform. But yeah, it's a massive loss, you know, it's a massive loss to so many people. And I will be honest, you know, to me, it has really got me down at times. If this was a normal Tuesday for the past 8 or 9 years, I would be just about getting in the car. It's 5 to 6 now, Tuesday evening. I would have, my cousin Rebecca would have done my hair at around 4:30.
Very nice.
And I'd have got home and got dolled up in one of my fabulous black outfits, of which my wardrobe was full of. And I would usually leave here at about leave Kelshma about 6:15. Be in there by 7. I always, the one thing I did every single night before every single show was I went in and sat in my chair in front of the stage. I would take out my books. I would listen to the guys coming out, say hello to as much of the cast as I could when they're coming out to do their sound check, say hello to the guys at the back, put my water and my Lucasade where I like it to be. I have these little routines. I know everybody probably has. Double check anything that I might want to fix from the night before, check what notes I want to give to the cast when I go down to them. And by 7:30 on the dot, we're all down in the back room doing a warm-up. Ken always has a few words to say, Aoife, whoever, if there's any messages to be given. Generally, you know, saying, will you cheer up a bit? We had a down night last night, or you were brilliant then, and will you do this, and will you do that? And because it's Tuesday, it's Kilshma night, so half Kilshma always travel, all the Claydon Choral Society and so many others travel from Kilshma. So I usually give a big speech about how brilliant, extra brilliant it has to be on a Tuesday night. So we do the warm-up, and that only goes on for 15 minutes. And generally I'll go back, start wishing people luck, and then by the time I get to the front door, the queues are coming in, and you can see all the people, and I try and make my way. I have to fight my way through the crowds to have a chat with the lads, with the men that are there doing the door. They're brilliant lads, great characters all together. Go around, say hello to all of the orchestra, sit down. I don't speak to anybody for about the last 5 minutes. Look through my final bits myself, make sure everything is in order. I have the right books in order. Sometimes I might have 3 folders for one show, it depends. And then at about 7:50, or then Trevor comes out. Trevor does his introduction, and I look down to when Trevor leaves, I look down, and it's been Ken the last couple of years, was John O'Shea before that, and I wait for a thumbs up. And I do not stand up until I get that thumbs up, because they're talking on headphones to backstage lads. I can't see what's going on backstage. So maybe if somebody's late, somebody wasn't there on time, or isn't where they're meant to be, Ken would be hearing all this at the back. So until I get a thumbs up from Ken, I do nothing. As soon as I get that thumbs up, I stand up and I walk over to my music stand. The hands are up and off we go with the overture. That's when the excitement starts.
Finola, I'm not joking. The hairs are standing up on the back of my neck after hearing that. That is just,
I know.
oh, how I miss it.
It's
Anyway,
brilliant.
it's been great
Yeah.
chatting to you, Finola. We're just going to finish up here with a couple of quick questions.
Yeah.
So start off with your favorite song. Doesn't have to be from a Ballinrobe show, but your favorite song from a musical.
Oh, from any musical. I think it's from, Jesus, I won't even remember the name of it now. From Miss Saigon. Sorry, I was thinking of my favorite song from the shows that we've done. I can't think of it. Imagine, I can't think of it. Anything from Miss Saigon at the moment. Anything from Les Mis. From the shows that we've done. I think the Tarantara that we did last year. It's, that we did last year for Pirates, to have the entire cast, principals and everything, singing with so many harmonies against each other was absolutely incredible. And like that, Oisin, the hair stood in the back of my head. There's a beautiful song from Adam's Family that I loved. Mike Cohn sang it, Happy and Sad, very
Yeah.
simple, straightforward, simple song, but I absolutely loved it. I loved everything for Tale of Two Cities. From Evita, harmonies unbelievable as well. It's so hard to pick. It's so hard to pick. I'm loving Miss Saigon at the moment. I went to see it in Dublin the last time I was there, and I just think the music from that is incredible as well.
And your favorite scene from a show?
I think it has to be from 9 to 5 and the shave and foam
Oh
scene.
God.
We had Angela and Suzanne and Heather on the couch. I think it's just, I'm very lucky in some ways, excuse me, because I can see things that some people can't see. So in this particular scene, the girls are on the couch over to my right. And so I could literally see the bits of shaven foam that they were, it wasn't shaven foam, sorry, what was it? It was
Whipped cream or something.
Whipped cream. And it started the first night where they just had one little spray and that was the end of it. But as the week went on, the three of them played puck with this whipped cream and it was going all over their faces and down
I
their
think the
clothes.
scene kept getting longer as well too.
The scene, I didn't know when it was, and then I was laughing so hysterically myself that I was afraid I'd missed my cue, but I couldn't miss it. And all the orchestra lads be turning around to look at it because it got funnier and funnier as every night went on. It just got so funny. So I absolutely loved that, and I can't go without saying from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Neil and Angela. I thought they, there was one scene that they had there that I thought they were absolutely hilarious. Sometimes I would have tears running down my face at some of the comedy that we've seen through the years, and what I love is watching how, you'd know by the really good cast, they hear the reaction the first or second show. So then they kind of develop it on a little bit more, and God knows what's going to happen in these particular scenes by the end of the week, and that's because they're able to read their audience as well, so they know what people are enjoying,
Yeah, and your favorite show?
Favorite show that we've done, or that I've done with Ballinrobe, or all together?
In general.
In general, it has to be Les Mis. It always has been. Before the movie, I'm not a huge fan of the movie at all. I've seen it so many times in London. My brother used to live in London and I would go to him and I'd always go to see two shows and one of them was always Les Mis. And this is going back years and years and years. I just think it has absolutely everything in it. It is just so emotional. It is so funny in places. The story is incredible. Everything about the music, the harmonies, the orchestra, I get, as I said, I rarely watch the movie. I have it here, but I don't get as much out of the movie as there's nothing like seeing it live, or listening to recordings of it, of live recordings of it. I know there's I have something that I recorded there. It was on Sky Arts there recently. It was the a big anniversary for Les Mis, and all of the kind of original cast came on, and it's just unbelievable. That song "Bring Him Home." I mean, you just can't compare it, to anything else. So that would be Adam's Family. Has to be a close second, believe it or not. People might be surprised to hear that, but I wasn't particularly fond of it before we did it, but I fell in love with it. I fell in love with everything about it. There's just so many. Jesus Christ Superstar, I was in that. It was my very first show myself. I love that. I love the music in that. I think the part of Judas is probably one of the best parts in musical theatre. There's just so many of them. As I said, Miss Saigon at the moment, I'm loving that. It's kind of helping get me through lockdown. There's just so many. I love some of the old ones as well. I love like South Pacific, like the ones my dad was in was Oklahoma, South Pacific, The Golden Years. Is that the Percy French one? and yeah, South Pacific. So there's some great. I love Guys and Dolls. I think Ballinrobe would be great to do Guys and Dolls. I think it really suit them. We came close a few times in the last few years, but we haven't done it yet, or certainly recently. Yeah, we're just spoiled for choice, Oisin, aren't we?
Okay, here's a nice easy one to finish up with. Your favourite memory from your time involved with Ballinrobe Musical Society?
My favorite memory isn't just one memory, it's in general. It is the general feeling from the chorus, the humor of the older men that are there. I absolutely adore them. Noel and Jerry and Michael and all of those guys, like, they're absolutely, I adore them. And the way that they watch out for me, and they'd come down and say, over in the hall, and I might be freezing cold, and they'd be saying, will I get a heater in for you? And I go, no, 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 I'm grand. The way they bring in the tea, and the way, the humor, the enthusiasm, and then the ladies, so many women have joined the show through the years that literally didn't know anybody when they walked in the door, and now they've made friends for life. So I think it's the general feeling of kindness, of, it's not even about talent, that goes without saying, because the talent is there, but it's just the feeling of, and I don't mean to say community, but it becomes a family. And I know people hear people saying that and go, what are they on about? But it becomes such a unique family that that's what I love the most, is just the general camaraderie, kindness, I have to say, watching people do stuff for each other, watching the girls helping each other out, doing each other's hair, watching the lads, practicing practicing their song or their dances that they never quite got, at halftime, saying we'll get it tomorrow, that kind of thing. It's just, that's my favorite memory of Ballinrobe. That is what I take away every single year from Ballinrobe, is that feeling, that feeling of love, really.
Well, as I sit here ready to burst into song and dance, I think we're going to leave it there, Finola, and hopefully we'll see you conducting an orchestra in Ballinrobe within the next 12 months, with the help of God.
Oh, please God, Oisin, please God. And hi to everyone. And Oisin, thanks a million. And listen, miss everyone in Ballinrobe and beyond, all of the cast, all the orchestra, missing you all. And please God, we'll all be back to ourselves this time next year. Stay safe, everybody.
Brilliant. Thanks,
And you too,
Finola.
Oisin. Thanks a million, Oisin.